kill me.
Mhm.
No, I had to log off and log on. Okay, everybody, it's really me, Fran Lewis. This is MJ Network. MJ in memory of my sister, Marcia Joyce, who put me on the road to this. Thank God. And we have the author of Threat, The City of Magicians. You know, when I saw the cover and I read it, I go like, and I was surprised at what it was about, which was even better.
Good.
Yeah, I love Sassy. I love this guy kid. He's great. So let me put the other glasses on so I could see.
Okay.
Now that's better. A journey without departure, traditional term for telepathic sending. That's interesting. It is a talent few can perform. Yet this is the strategy of the city of magicians. Non-violent pacifists without an army or weapon hopes will mitigate the barbarism invasion coming in 6 months. The plan could work. And then this sass. I love this guy. Absolutely love this guy. So I'm gonna
Wonderful.
put that over
Thank you.
there. My questions, I'm getting better at this. So how did you come to write this? This is like a unique story, seriously.
Thank you. It started many years ago. When I was a little boy, standing in the midst of thousands of little white crosses in the War Memorial in Normandy. And the war had never been explained to me, and I was flabbergasted. All this celebrated death, and for what? It was quite amazing.
Mm.
But my mother was trying to exercise my rather poor math skills and asking, how old was this one when he died? We were standing in front of individual little white crosses. And then she pointed to another cross and said, and how old was this one? They were all in their late teens or early 20s, but this one ended in 1917. And his birth year was something 1890 something. And I said, Mummy,
Mm.
the numbers are wrong. And she said, that's because he died in the First World War.
Mm.
There were two in the same place. Uh, Something woke in me that day, and that was I couldn't express it. I was inarticulate, but I knew with certainty that something was wrong. And so the idea of resisting war, trying to mitigate it, solve a problem before it gets out of hand, was something that sort of sat in me for a long time. I never thought to write about it until decades later.
Well, I'm glad you did. You know, I went to college 5 times. What can I say?
Wow, good for
Yeah, I
you.
did.
Wow.
Yeah, I did really. I'm really smart. And when I went for my undergraduate degree, there was a girl that came to one of my classes that did telepathy.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she tested us, and I was just sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden I stupidly said something, and she said I had some kind of premonition that I was able to tell when something bad happened. She tested me. I said, "Don't tell me that, because now I'm going to tell every one of you what's going to happen." It was like it's crazy, but
Well,
this is really so. How did you create? Okay, tell us about the meeting and who attended it and why. In pages 5 to 9, you explain the characters so I understood them, especially my guy.
well, thank you. Um, he's been chosen to educate the barbarian, which he thinks, oh my goodness, are you kidding? You've made a mistake. Um, but he's been chosen, and that's it, and he has to go forward. And but the notions about magic in this book are the ones that we face on a daily basis, and how we don't always pay attention to them. Like your instance of being telepathic, I think we have these little occasions on a daily basis, and
Mm.
it's little decisions where we meet someone we haven't seen in years just because we turn left walking down the street instead of turning right. So these little moments of seemingly serendipity, but it's actually there's something going on. And in the City of the Magicians, they understand this a little better, so they have institutions and traditions and guilds and practices, but they're sort of fading.
This is amazing. I'm look this Lord Metlet, the lady that I'm not crazy about, the adjudicator, counselor, so many characters. And I was very proud of myself that I was able to keep track. That's what they told me. But my favorite character, of course, was Sass, but I also like Eldershone.
Yes.
There's something about him that I like, and he's absolutely interesting. And he keeps everything. He's a council strategist. So you could see that when he was thinking, you could tell that he was thinking.
Yes. Well, he's facing a tricky challenge.
Yeah,
How do you mitigate a barbarian
yeah.
invasion? And you have to select someone that's going to be that he assumes will click with the barbarian leader. And but the person he's chosen is basically saying, "Wait a second,
You don't want to get him angry, ever.
right?
I got that part. Now, this I really wish people could do. What are sendings and explain them more in page 10? How did you create that? Are those real? Can that really happen?
I think they can, but you have to be particularly focused. It's when someone undergoes a crisis and a loved one miles away will suddenly realize, oh my goodness, they're in trouble. I have to phone them or make sure they're okay. And they may be separated by hundreds of miles, and yet sometimes people will see individuals
Yeah,
saying, and so yeah, you have those moments of crisis that suddenly you realize you're very connected with this person.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, so do I. But you don't necessarily want to have a crisis every day just to stay in touch.
I know, I love that. So, who is Lord Merlot and who is Sattler? And what are the deliberators? You don't want to mess with them either.
Well, they're the it's the name of the council of the City of Magicians.
Yeah,
Um, they've got a fairly quiet form of administration. They and so they're selected from the citizens of the City of the Magicians, and they're running things pretty quietly. It's also the city is also a place of pilgrimage, so they're quietly fleecing the pilgrims that are coming for healing and solace and meditation, that sort of stuff. And but they're quietly getting wealthy, and they've also quietly getting lazy. There's a level of complacency that
mhm.
this crisis is going to wake up.
I wish I could do that. So, what is the role of Masumi? And I love Sass. They said that he's the only solution to what was going to happen. That put a lot of pressure on him.
Yep. Well, if you read further and into
Yeah,
book two, he begins to realize that he has been very cruelly
yeah.
manipulated into this position. So, but he doesn't know that yet. And Shoan and Lord Metlich are the ones who have been instigating this. But I don't want to give too much away.
No, don't, because I'm going to make sure people read this.
Well, thank you.
What I do at the end, we pray for me a lot, is that I download the stream to everywhere and pray that my phone doesn't kill it or my computer doesn't kill it. Disney doesn't. And
Okay.
they usually tell me, it's probably right now, that we're live on YouTube because I get a message from them. And I was honored last week that they said that people are listening.
Nice. Nice.
And
Oh,
Restream,
hi,
will-
everyone.
they tell me my statistics and stuff, and they claim that the streams are perfect when they come off. And I
Nice.
try to explain to them that the only person that's on the stream is the author, and everybody else can listen, and they do listen. I did one on Tuesday, and over 200 people have listened already.
Nice. Congratulations.
I don't know why they love me so much, but that's okay. I don't care. Now, how do they proceed? How are they going to stop this barbarianism? I mean, how do you stop something that you know is going to happen, but you're not really sure how it's going to happen?
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but the other thing that happens in chapter two, Lalia comes along and she uncovers an underground movement who is plotting to collaborate with the
Yeah.
same barbarian. So you think, oh my goodness. So in the end, you find out that one faction is going after his heart, the other faction is going after his ambitions. And so, what do you do? So you know he's going to come. How do you deflect him or mitigate it or reduce the threat?
I got
So,
nervous with this. I was worried.
yeah. Well,
Now,
in the end, each book ends with a bit of a cliffhanger. So,
is there a sequel coming?
oh yes, book two,
Oh, thank God.
yeah, came out and actually won a gold medal at the Book Fest this year at the LA Times Festival of Books for best literary fantasy. And book three came out this year, and it'll be submitted next spring for the same award. We'll see what happens.
All I know is that everybody whose books are good are not coming out till next year, the second one. So
Well,
sad.
oh well, all three are now published. So there's Threats, Within, and Quickening, and I'm working on books 4, 5, and 6.
Wow. My new book is coming out, we hope, at the end of this month.
Oh, what's the name?
I write, it's called Inverted Reality, and it's horror,
Oh,
pure
okay.
horror.
Wow.
It's 5 books, and in each book, if you do something wrong and you don't repent, watch out who's going to
Right.
get you. The
Right.
mirror makes you a face in the mirror, but there are other penalties for the rest of the books. And the last one is called The Third Choice, and you don't want to know what that is.
Uh-oh.
I wrote it, and I didn't realize when I went to the bank yesterday to do something, the girl in the bank said, "I hope you're going to send it to me, and everybody here wants one."
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yes, yes, they have a fan base, basically, but who knows? Now, this was interesting. What is the Guild for Protection? And are they really the Guild for Protection?
It's the Guild of Telepaths, and they still have traditions that they're trying to keep alive, but
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of work and a certain amount of discipline. There's also a level of physical energy that gets expended when you do something as concentrated as ascending. So you have to be physically strong, mentally alert, and emotionally feet on the ground.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
So, Lord Merlot, who is he? And chapter 6, who's included in this thing and why?
Lord Metliff, he is the
Yeah.
technical head of the council, but he's getting a little tired, a little old, and Sean realizes, oh my goodness, I have to pick up the pieces here, and we have to keep this strategy alive and alert and on track.
This was really scary. I mean, what happened was so sad. When I had the book over here, my housekeeper took it and they didn't realize it, so I had to buy another one.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope the housekeeper likes
I
it.
did it. I got so upset because I write in them and it didn't have all my what
Oh,
I
your
wrote in, but
notes.
I probably pretty much have memorized. But she took it. She said it was very good.
Oh,
I said, "Thank
nice.
you very much. You weren't supposed to do that, but what the heck?" So, what is the first sending and how is SAS? Who are the senior apprentices? There are people that work with him, but
Yes.
basically, he's in charge,
Yes,
sort of.
his name is Ingol, and he's got two apprentices. Because Sass is inexperienced, he doesn't have the training, and it's a somewhat dangerous uh, thing to do without assistance. So Sass loses a lot of weight in this moment where he actually physically appears thousands of miles away to
That's hard.
yeah. So he comes back and he's in really bad shape. So Ingol and his apprentices are trying to sort of get him reconstituted and healthy again, and he has to eat several times a day to get his weight back, all that sort of stuff. But um, but it clicks. The first sending works um, because
Well,
the
I can almost imagine what the second book is going to start at. I'm not going to say because I
right
read the whole thing. I go like, what? So who
right.
is Ingal and how does he act when the first sending happens?
Well, Ingol is the head
Yeah,
telepath, and he is a sender, so he knows how to do this. But he realizes young Sass is in danger, so he has to be really really careful that Sass doesn't die in the process. And so
mm,
he's able to do this and tell him what to do and to follow the instructions without fail. Which Sass, realizing what the entire city is based on, the safety of the city is based on his performance.
that's scary. So what is Nasha and Aletta and what is the encryption? That's an interesting term.
Oh, encryptions, right. Well, encryption is sort of like a secret society initiation, a ritual of uh, control and submission and yeah, you're trapped. Poor old Lalia, is trapped in this situation. She has a choice between life or death. Because if she chooses to escape, they'll come after her because they're completely secret underground and they do not want to be exposed. So she's trapped. And
Now,
they call it an encryption, so that she is
yeah.
now completely underground as an individual.
So now this is another term. What and who was interrogated and explained truths and suspicions?
Oh, okay. Well, that was it was a game of Spheres. The city has this favorite game called Spheres, and it's sort of like a cross between billiards and Scrabble. Hard to describe in a sentence or two, but there are sort of meetings that people get together and have competitions. And in the middle of this, SAS is there to watch someone who they think is not playing fair with the city or the council. And so by asking a couple of questions, um, he is able to sort of zone in on her quick interactions that she suppresses, and but and then his memory of the event is gleaned by Muara, who is the head of the
Wow.
yeah, and then they find out, oh, there's a mole in the council. There is someone who is leaking stuff from the council to some unknown source.
Now this chapter really got me. How does the chapter murder move the plot apart? Because you had titles on some of the chapters,
Yeah.
which most people don't.
Right. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but as they realize that there is a mole in the upper circle of the council, they've got to figure out who the heck is it, and they start becoming suspicious of each other, and then suddenly, um, the mole has been discovered because
Mm,
his body is found. And they just say, "Oh my goodness, it's him!" And I don't want to give too much away, but it's a big shock. But it forces
mm.
the council to just say, "Okay, pedal to the metal, and let's just solve all this stuff that's been going on for months." And we have an excuse. There's been a death, which is very unusual in the city because they don't believe in violence or that sort of stuff.
That's scary.
Yeah.
What is the important? Now, this I know is important. What is the importance of the solstice? And what is elliptic of salons? These terms really got me. I go like,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Okay, well that's um, they have a system of astronomy where they do not have telescopes, but they measure everything with their hands. And you realize you can put your fist, you can put 18
Uh-huh.
fists if your hands are relative size, um, into the horizons if they're level. But you can actually put 36 fists into the elliptic, the entirety of the uh,
Wow.
when the sun travels. And so they're fairly sophisticated, even though they don't have telescopes. And so yeah,
Now, this was interesting. How did you define the second sending and why was it necessary to be sent? Because this is, and poor Sass, I wonder how he's feeling through this whole mess.
right. Well, he's there's a couple of months have passed between the first and the second. He's got his strength back, but this time it's not just to the leader, but it's to the entire officer corps. So that he's creating a relationship with not only the leader but the whole command structure. And that's one more step into mitigating the barbarian threat.
Now, I'm looking to see where I just had this. The chapter called First Reports. What's the purpose of that? What were they going to know?
They're
And the one
basically,
called Interviews, that was interesting.
yeah, well, the interview is to figure out um, is SAS really up to this? Um, but the other chapter, though, is basically a consolidation of the information. So you get a better sense of, okay, they're getting their act together. It seems to be going on track, but there is still this unresolved underground movement that is trying to compromise this for their reasons, which aren't exactly clear to the council. So there's a desperation in the strategy and how do they refine it.
Now, the chapter called The Bands and Offers, what was that all about? That's amazing.
Again, it goes back to strategy, how the things that you want, the things you have to compromise on, and the final solution. So demands and offers.
They can, yeah, I know. What
Yeah.
is the purpose of Maxim Journey?
Well, Maxon's journey. Well, this is the underground movement called the Fifth School. There's a history
Yeah,
behind that, but he goes because they can't do sendings, so they're going to try and um, catch the barbarians at the pass, as it were, and offer them something that will completely scupper the plans of the council. And amazingly, it works. But Maxim has to do it the hard way. He has to take a journey of many weeks with insufficient supplies, and he doesn't want to leave the city, and it's a long struggle for him. But the barbarian, whose name is Purdu, he realizes, oh my goodness, they're after me. Fine, let's just scupper him, and they do.
now who's the person that had to send the sendings? Was that Sass or somebody else?
Sass was the messenger, but
Yeah,
Ingol and the apprentices were there to basically give him the push he needed.
that's gets scary, let me tell you. I mean, and the two chapters at the end. Well, the last one is called By the River, and the one that you created last was like, what?
Oh yeah.
That last chapter was really unbelievable. I mean,
Oh,
like I
thank
read
you.
this. So the third sending you have over here, and then the next one is Revelations. And what is the point of that one? What are they supposed to learn or not learn without giving
Well,
it away?
without giving it too much away, the third and last sending basically it's to tell Porter he is making mistakes and he must come in peace. He has no choice but to do so. But there's another major block, and Lalia, the other character, she is trying to escape from the fifth school, and yet she is absolutely pivotal, unexpectedly, with the arrival of the barbarian. Otherwise, he would not be able to get into the city.
Now the sad part is the last chapter. So we have first reports in the third. How did it all start to come together? Now we have several characters that we didn't talk about that are on my paper.
Uh-huh.
Where Purdue, Layla, and a little bit more of Shan shown. So how did they play an important part in this besides my favorite character, Sass?
Well, Sass is in deep trouble. The last sending has
He's gonna
taken.
be in the sequel, right?
Oh yes, yep.
I hope
But
so.
yeah, but he's in pretty bad shape. The last sending took an enormous amount of energy from him. But and Sean thinks, okay, everything's falling into place, but he's forgotten a few things, and and yet he finds a big shock at the very end. Oh my goodness, Porter's here already? I'm not ready. The city's not ready. Um, and without giving too much away, that's I can't say anything more.
Well, before I forget, I wrote it down over here. Sheila's keeping me very busy.
Great, that's
She
good.
is. I hope he shows up. The author of Saving Casey. On the 14th, New York Times author Brian Silverman, Freedom Drop. On the 20th, New York Times author Alan Jacobson, Dying to Know. And on the 28th, again, New York Times author Brian Silverman with his new one, Calypso Blue. And there's a whole bunch more coming in June. So also, don't forget Dick Belsky and Bonnie Traymore in Swipe. And I'm booked until the end of June, and I have a couple in August and one October 31st. So if anybody wants to do one, now's the time to tell me because I don't know. I started this because my sister told me when I stopped teaching because my mom had Alzheimer's, that I looked like a fat couch potato. And yeah, it was tough dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's, but I had no choice because no one else wanted to deal with her. No one else could deal with her. She was impossible, but I'm used to it. So she told me I look like this. I weigh 90 pounds. It's like this. She said, why don't you write a book? And she was sorry she ever opened her mouth. I wrote three books about growing up in the South Bronx with her, my Bertha series. And after that, she kept quiet. Yeah, so she did start it. And when I started to write the Bertha book, one of the hosts on another network offered me to read it for the first chapter of my book, which I was scared. And
Right.
after that, she offered me an hour on her show, and I decided it's more fun to go by myself.
Right.
So this is
Mm.
like so much fun. It really is. So what
Nice.
would you hope that people learn after they meet? Especially, how did you create that the by the river, and how did you create that last chapter? Was that sort of like an open end?
Yeah. As I say, each of the books ends with a
Yeah.
cliffhanger. Um, and when Lalia gets swept away, um, I've seen that happen. I used to live by a major river, and there was a bit of a flood. And when you see things floating down the river, you think, "Oh my goodness, how would you save yourself in such a situation?" And this is what Lalia is facing.
This is really exciting. Now, the chapter by the river, the first line is hilarious. That is hilarious. Did I blank in my sleep until dry
Oh,
land
that
was
one.
no
Oh,
safe
right,
coming? So what
right.
was how does the title fit into that chapter?
Um, well, the Puerto has sent advance guards to keep an eye on the city, and so they're not expecting the magicians have any real power, but they do. Um, and again, I don't want to give too much away. And this poor little guard is just sitting in a tent, a little bored, and then he realizes, "My goodness, what's happened? I'm wet. Oh my goodness, the river is rising," and so he has to run for his life. But
This
you're right. The opening line is, "Did I pee in my sleep?" Oh no, much more serious than that.
I mean, he asked her question, "Are you the woman I am?"
Yeah,
Now, what is her role? What could she? Was she the only person that could do something, and
yes,
nobody else could do it?
yep. Well, I don't want to give too much away. It's a major plot event where Pruder is trapped. He can't get into the city, and he's asking the gift of spheres that Sass has given him through the process of ascending. And it gives him an answer that he puzzles at until Lalia shows up. And he,
Well,
oh my God,
you had all the characters in that last chapter, all of them, and the last sentence. Well, we'll see what happens. What happens? How would you describe the city of magicians? What is the purpose of a place that's called that?
um, it's based on, I love old maps. So the maps of old London and old Venice, old Rome. And I actually made a map myself. So, oops, where is it here? So, don't know whether you can see this. This
Oh,
is the,
whoa!
yeah. So this is the map that you'll find on book 3. Um, it's slightly different from the one in book 1 in Threat. I do a map each time for each book. Just
That's
a
what I
slight,
was looking for, and I couldn't find a picture. Oh, there it is.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that
yeah,
I got it.
yeah. And so the maps are slightly different depending on the story arc that's happening. And I have to actually make sure that I follow my own map so that when Sass leaves in the morning, he turns left, goes straight, and so that some people some fans get really particular and say, "Oh my goodness, he's turned down the wrong street. You can't do that. Follow your own map." So I made sure I followed my own map.
Well, wait till you read my review. I hope everybody likes it. The
Oh, well,
one thing
thank
I
you.
will say is I never write negative reviews, ever.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't. The only bad thing is that about 3 or 4 years ago, somebody hacked into my Amazon account. And
Hmm.
yeah, and Amazon thought I never write anything derogatory. So instead of saying to me, I apologize, they took my reviews off of
Ah,
Amazon. And I called them 5 times and I said, "How dare you insult me?" Well, I didn't write any, I didn't even know what the book was that they said I wrote about. So I posted on Goodreads and
wow.
LinkedIn and everywhere else. All I can tell you is that once I post the stream on LinkedIn, you're going to get views. Everybody, for some reason, I'm very popular,
Wonderful.
extremely popular.
Well, congratulations.
That I don't know why, but they think that I'm wonderful. So that's and Lincoln keeps offering me like a trial for whatever. I don't need to pay to know who, and I get views, 200 views just on my profile. I don't know why. There was
Oh,
one author last week, I won't say who, that he said he looked at my credentials and my masters and my education before he would interview with me.
Wow, nice.
I have 3 masters and a PD. What more can I do?
Wow.
Yeah, well, the good part is that my reading professor did one with me the other day on Monday, and he's the foremost authority in reading, and he's the reason why I'm smart.
Nice. Now,
Yeah,
did now the I was working on my master's in education, and I was my professor Allen. Originally, I think he was from University of Texas, and he was specializing in the acquisition of early reading in children. And he found
uh-huh,
that there was a sensitive period between 2 and 2.5 to 3 years old, and if a child and children can actually learn to read that early and read well, and if it starts at
uh-huh.
that time, they've got a love of reading for life. And
She should listen to my stream from Monday. We talked about exactly that.
oh,
The
excellent.
difference between, yeah, oral reading and silent reading, and how you teach phonics in the beginning program of reading. I'm
Right.
getting really good at it. I have 500 pages over there
Yeah.
that I did my research, but children that read orally, there are two things. Number one, if they read too fast, they're not focusing on what they're reading, they're just reading
Uh-huh.
words.
Right.
And fluency, I know the science of reading is a new project, I would never use it. They're
Hmm.
just reading. And the teacher says you're very smart, you're reading well, but do you ask them questions? Do
Right.
you predict? Do they understand what they're reading? They have no clue.
Wow.
So my answer to them is you've got to ask them questions before, have them read silently, then orally, and ask them something about what they read. And it does change things very drastically. But I was the reading specialist for 19 years.
Excellent.
Well, until I got my reading masters, my principal tortured me for 10 years with classes with learning disabilities,
Oh my goodness.
double grades every single year. All the discipline problems were mine.
Wow. Wow.
And you know what?
That's
I
hard.
never had to raise my voice, never had anything. They just knew, don't start with the girl. And they
Good.
said, yeah, and I had no problem. Except there was the class I was absent for 5 minutes when the principal called me. He said, you better get here. We can't handle this.
Wow.
I laughed so hard. I cried. They were bad. They were dangerous. But you know what? When I started to teach reading, everything opened up. I loved it. And I
Nice.
know I did a good job because my students are on Facebook telling everybody how I tortured them. And
Wow.
some of them followed in my footsteps. So that's great. So there's more to come. What's coming in the next book?
Well, the
Who's
barbarian.
coming back?
Well, Sass is fair. Lolly is fair. Sean is trying to fix his wrecked plans, and Puru understand. Puru is smart. He knows that there are two factions. One is after his heart, one's after his ambitions. But he says, "This is what I want," and so, oh, the game's afoot again, and and then and he has a tricky relationship with Sass, and but Lolly is in the middle of it all. So, and that one's called Within.
Because I'm looking at the last sentence, and that's where it all begins.
Right.
See, I was
Well,
surprised that it didn't tell more about it, but you didn't. So
right.
in the next one, we get to really see
Oh, yes.
where they're going and what they're going to be. And
Yep.
you created that too. I can't wait to read it. But you got to put pictures. I got to see what it looks like.
Okay. Oh, well, I can show you what book two looks like.
Yeah, I want to see.
Yep.
I'm very visual. Oh, that's the next one.
Yeah. And then book three is,
Oh, you got to send them.
yep.
I can't see. Oh, wow. See, that's nice. The problem is my next book. They sent me the book, but they sent me the cover, and I don't like it.
Oh, okay. Can
The
you
cover
change it?
doesn't show inverted reality. It shows a mishmash.
Oh, no.
So I
Okay.
told them I wasn't going to sign off on it until they changed the cover. Because
Uh-huh.
there's no way that inverted reality was gold with some creatures coming up on top.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Especially when there's 6 chapters of people being tortured. It's so much fun.
Yikes.
So that's next for you. And where can everybody find out more about you and your work? And when am I
Um,
getting the next one?
okay. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and a few others. You can check out the website, petergribble.com, for more information and how it got to be written and the where you can buy it as well. And I also have a blog there, I've written only 2 posts there, excuse me, on how to write a fantasy series. And yeah, so petergribble.com. And I was at the LA Times Festival of Books just recently signing books at the Black Chateau booth. And that went well.
Well, what I could tell you is that there are a lot of hands out for this one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, my dermatologist wife got 10,000 books from me, literally. So I'm not sure if he wants this one. But I have to tell you that my UPS guy reads them all.
Wow,
And for
amazing.
that, I get my packages with no problem. And if he sees something downstairs from the post office, he brings it up because he knows he's going to get books from me somehow.
Oh, nice. Good.
Oh,
Well,
are
thanks.
you kidding?
Thanks very much, Fran.
This brightens my day. But thank you so much. Do you do panels ever?
I can. I've not done one recently, no, but yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm doing one. It's going to be so scary. On the 27th, a very famous author, Stephen Manchester. You will be Peter with his two. I'm doing two authors for the first time,
Okay.
and I'm doing another one on June. If it works with two authors, I may try to do panel.
Okay.
Usually,
So,
we talk about writing strategies,
right.
plot lines, how you decide them, whatever comes to my brain, because you never know what's going to come.
Wow.
It's scary.
Well, but your brain is fascinating.
Yeah, I have fun, and they think I'm smart. That's all that really matters. Even if I'm not, I try anyway. But thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Fran, for having me. Great
And I'm
pleasure.
going to give Shirley the good news about pray for me. Everybody, have a great day. Stay safe and bye.
Bye. Happy
Now I have
reading.
to figure out how to do this. Oh, yeah, wait, I have to end the stream first.